All right, welcome back to, I guess this is Blast Backstage, is the name of this particular segment. I think we're just filling some time while we're waiting for NIP, so got the coaches with me. How's everyone doing today?
Amazing.
Yeah?
Jason.
Feeling
It's
good?
been a wonderful day so far. Nice, humid, rainy in Sao Paulo. Media obligations the whole day, but topping it off with a casual conversation with you makes me feel so much better.
That was good.
Yeah, I can't.
You think you can top? You can't top
I
it?
can't top that. I'm just gonna say it's all good. It's lovely here in Sao Paulo.
Perfect. Yeah. I mean, we don't really have any too much set to this, so I mean, let's just chat about like what it's like being a coach, because I think that's one of the roles in Counter-Strike and esports right now that there's not a whole lot of there's not a whole lot of eyeballs on what you guys exactly do behind the scenes. I know we have a little bit of a glimpse through some interviews and everything, but I mean, an event like this coming in, you guys just did the vetoes today, and you know the maps. What's the preparation going to be like for the rest of the day for you guys?
For me, it's gonna be a lot of dust 2.
Yeah, you got it easy. I don't know how you pulled that one off.
4 times dust 2 and one overpass. Yeah, I think it's just gonna be straightforward, like always, but a bit more hectic because now we have to do a lot of preparation. So it's about being efficient and yeah.
Do you when you prepare Dust 2, are you mostly going to be talking about how you guys want to play and the things you want to do, or are you going to be looking for something that your opponents do and ways to like counter something specifically?
I think the obvious thing is to look at what they're doing and then see if we can take something from our own playbook that will work around that, maybe with a slight adjustment. But yeah, sometimes we have to do something like a whole new strat or a whole new thing to our playbook. But usually we have a pretty deep playbook on and especially also on Dust 2. So I think hopefully it will work out.
Yeah, Yanko. I mean, for you, how many maps are you playing tomorrow?
2 tomorrow, 3 on Saturday.
Well, I mean, how many different maps? You don't make this difficult for me.
4. I think 4 out of 5 actually. We played 2 nukes, Mirage, Cash, and Dust 2 against Astralis. Yeah, so
Nice.
a bit different for us, but yeah, I think it's more of the same. I think for us, still not being like a fully established team, you're kind of focusing more on yourself, just making sure that you cover your own bases, go over some of the things that you like doing on maps or you think you're gonna need to do, and then, as Danny said, you look at the opponent a little bit. If there's something you can pick up on, some trend that you see that you think you could maybe exploit, it's not really something you will ignore,
Right.
even though you want to stick to what you want to do. It's still something that maybe you can tweak some things a little bit, or just something that you can pay attention to, if that situation happens in the game, that you can be prepared for it.
What's the difference like for you guys? When you're at like this is a very fast-paced event. It's game, and you have the small break in between. When you're at like another event, you play your series and then you're done for the day and you get to prepare for the next one all day. So what's it like? How does it change what you guys do when you just have to go straight into the next game? Like if heaven forbid, if you guys get blown out like 16-5 on Dust 2 and then you have to go play another Dust 2 5 minutes later, like how does that change the way you approach between maps?
Danny knows a lot about getting blown out.
That's a good point.
No, I think it's very difficult with the Blast Pro Series events because they are so hectic for us. Usually we need time, and the more time we can get to prepare for a match, the better. Usually the veto was done 14 days before this event, but now it was done 1 day before. So I think it's about being efficient, and then maybe I would also have to ask some of the players to pitch in and maybe watch a match that I don't have time to watch, so that we divide it out a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
In between maps, it's also what Yanko said during the team briefing. If it's a 16-14, then you probably have around 2 to 3 minutes left, but and that will not make it that will make it extremely difficult for us to prepare for our next opponent. But I think luckily for us, we know a lot of the team, so I think we'll just have to play a lot more on our own game and our own instinct rather than playing on anti-stratting this time around, because it's going to be very difficult, and I think it can hinder you if you put too much focus on your opponent at this event.
Yeah. Yanko, I mean, you just said...
I have more experience with getting blown out, Jason. Yes, thank you. But I still think, it's the bigger problem is, especially by Astralis, but I think bigger problem is when actually you lose a close game. That's a much bigger problem in this format than if you get blown out, because like when I was with MIBR in Copenhagen, our first game was against Astralis, and we were up again like something like 14-13, and we lose 16-14, and the game had some technical issues as well at the start, so it dragged on for a while, and the other games were already done. And you feel like, especially for us at the moment, like another close game that we didn't close out against Astralis. And the next game was against Cloud9, who played with Valence as a stand-in. But I don't know if the players like had time to go to the toilet, and like that's it. And we went straight back, and we started off that game like 7-0 down, and we ended up losing 16-13, and it kind of ruined our chances for the tournament. So it's really important for you, no matter what happens, to kind of be able to reset as much as humanly possible and start off fresh, because in such a grueling format where the games are one right after the other, and if you lose both games on day one, your chances to like get into the final are kind of shot.
Not great.
Yeah, right there. So that's something that's probably the most important thing about this tournament, is to be able to play on a high level across 2 maps on day one, and then all 3 maps on day 2, and then also on day 2 you need to play the final if you make it, right? So that's also a whole other thing, because you're playing a best of 3 series, and you have like 40 minutes to prepare for that or go over something. So yeah, in that sense, it's a very unique tournament kind of, and it is a big difference with the veto, because even though it's 5 opponents like in 2 days, well, you can prepare for it a week in advance and you're fine, right? But now it's a lot more like, okay, you can't go too crazy with it. Like, you need to find the right balance.
Let's go on to something a little bit more fun. What are your guys' favorite events that you guys have been at, have coached at? Like, what's the best experience of standing behind the team and seeing like the crowd in the arena and everything? What's been the most fun? I mean, obviously winning is always good, but
yeah, I don't know much about that either, Jason. Thank you.
Yeah, that was for you.
To answer your question, I think the most special
take it away, Danny.
For us at least was definitely in Copenhagen, playing in front of a home crowd. Even though we haven't won yet, it was still a special feeling.
Well, let's talk about let's touch on, because I know playing in front of the home crowd is all great, but you guys had some heartbreaks early on. I remember the first DreamHack Malmo was the first time that you guys were expecting to get a play in front of friends and family just right over the bridge, and got knocked out in group stage back in 2016. So what's that heartbreak like when you're expecting to play in front of friends and family?
I think it's because, as you said, the pressure that you build upon yourself from playing in front of your family and friends. But I think with a lot of good talks around home, and also like we did something as similar as just letting family and friends know that they should not contact the players if they want to have a ticket or where am I sitting, so that the players, whenever we go to Copenhagen, all the family and friends are sorted out by some other associates in Astralis who will help the players out, so that they know.
So they're not responding to text messages while they're set.
Exactly. Friends and family, they're all been taken care of. They're sitting at the right place, and so the players don't worry about that. I think that helped us a lot, and especially in ENCE. I think we learned a lot from Copenhagen.
Janko, for you, any special events?
I think for a similar reason, Lisbon was really cool, right? We were kind of the home team there with MIBR, and the crowd was like
pretty crazy.
Pretty crazy, yeah. It was a lot of fun just being in that arena. So yeah, that's probably the one I would single out the most. And Katowice was also pretty cool at the major this year, with the stage and the entrance, and especially with the speech the Karma gave before the start, and Pasha like bringing out the trophy. A lot of emotional moments. So being a part of that was also something that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that is pretty sweet. Danny, you played as well so long ago as well. Did you go to the CPLs that were in Dallas? Did you go to any of those?
I never went to Dallas. I don't know if it was an age issue. Maybe you have to.
You might. Yeah, you would have been very young. Well, there were a couple people who were able to skirt that rule, weren't there?
Yeah, no. I remember Wimp, the sports director, also being a bit annoyed about that rule. I think I went to Brazil, CPL Brazil in.
The World Tour.
Yeah, and then Barcelona as well.
Okay, cool. What's it like being at those events so long ago? That big CRT monitors, not a huge crowd, maybe just a small projector screen to spectate. Now you're here.
Yeah, I still can't believe how far we have come with these sports. It's just. it's funny to think back about it because I remember in Rio we went out pretty early in the group stage, but then we got a whole week of vacation in Rio. So in Rio, so that was really, that was really awesome.
Week off in Brazil.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
you're still with us.
No, I always wanted to win, but I didn't get the best start of my career internationally, at least with SK. So it was a lot of sightseeing, and seeing Barcelona and Rio was a lot of fun. But I would rather,
Gone
be
deep in
winning.
the event.
Yeah.
Luckily, Jason already retired at that point. He stopped playing, so he couldn't survive a week off in Brazil.
No, I would have definitely not have been able to pull that off. Yeah, I had a short career, very short one back in the day. What was it like for you as a young man in Serbia, in that little region? Like, what were the tournaments like there? Were they mostly like LAN center based?
Oh yeah, they were just like gaming cafes, like sometimes just 10 PCs in the whole thing, or 20 PCs, when you play face to face, and all of that stuff that you can imagine just in your like small around the corner LAN cafe. So there was a lot of emotion with all of the games, a lot of competition, a lot of like going back and forth and yelling at each other and having fun, which actually came in handy when we played our first international event in CSGO.
Yeah.
In Vienna, we were playing, and it was this setup where it was like a cube kind of, so there was a team like on each side from the group. So we were sitting on one side, and our opponents were sitting like right next to us kind of. So I was on the far left. It was like me and you. The distance was that much, and we were playing Lemon Dogs. Were like rated third in the world at the time. It was very early in CSGO, but they were all like a bunch of these like Swedish kids, like just like 16, 17-year-old. I don't know. Like, they're really, really good at the game, but they're not used to like the atmosphere. So we just came into the game, decided to be very loud, like to be insanely loud, just to be, getting off your chair and stuff. And it worked pretty well. They were super intimidated. We just ended up like walking over them. So you do kind of feel like guys like Taz, for example. Sure, Danny remembers, like as a viewer, you've been watching it, right? Like Taz was always trolling, he was always yelling.
Yeah.
Senya from Navi was also notorious for that stuff. So you sometimes wonder if, of course, it's great to see how far we come and everything, and that's all great, but you would wish there was like one tournament or something like that where players would actually like be in that sort of a more intimate environment, and they could go a little bit back and forth with each
Every
other.
time a TO has asked me like for some thoughts of how to do like a stage, I always try and get them to do like one event, like just a big event in an arena where you just have front to front PCs, like old school style. I did some like a massive stage, so it'd look awkward. They'd have to figure something out, but would you guys want to play an event like that, where like you actually got to just be face to face with your opponents, and you just actually got to stand out of your chairs and yell at them if you wanted?
To be honest, I think my players are too nice to that.
Your players are way too nice.
Yeah, and
they would get steamrolled.
I think so. I think they would be way too much intimidated by any other team, like standing in front of them screaming and. I think we'll go straight back to the choking days if that happens. So yeah, Dr. Disrespect did a lot.
Need a couple more lessons.
Yes, exactly.
I think that'd be fun. I mean, was there? Yeah, that's. I guess that's all there is really to say about that subject. So that's pretty cool. How many times have you guys? What is it like dealing with the fact? I know, like, as former players, every once in a while, when you see your teammates and you're coaching, you can't communicate when the round is live, and you're watching them do something that is like wrong. Like, what is that? How do you handle that first? Is that the deep sigh of it's all coming back of being like just wishing you could take over or say something? Can
you just turn that like the thing over while we talk about this? No, I'm kidding. No, but yeah, I think it's the most excruciating part for me, at least. I mean, I'm much newer to this than Danny, but the most excruciating part about it is just seeing something that inexplicably wrong and like doesn't make any sense compared to what you've been working on or doing, and just someone like first suggesting that and then no one reacting like this is a horrible idea, why is it? And the best part is when someone like says it like 4 seconds before freeze time ends, so you don't even have time to call a timeout to say don't do this, like don't do this is horrible. But yeah, that can be
pretty frustrating.
Yeah, I think it's actually for me the most like the worst thing about it, like when you see something like unfolding that is like horrible. But I guess that's your job as a coach, right, in all the preparation to kind of make sure those things don't happen or happen as little as humanly possible.
Right. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I think I can just say that the referees and I don't always get along. Sometimes I can't help myself, and it's just instinctively I yeah, I think it's about in football and in soccer when the coach going out of his like technical field.
Yeah.
I think that's the same with me. Sometimes if I see something, I just can't shut up, and then I get a warning, and then okay, I need to relax a little bit. So haven't been thrown out yet. I think it's only one case with Kane. I think he
Yeah.
was thrown off.
Yeah, I think so.
So hopefully,
Oh, was he? Oh, yeah, he was. I forgot
yeah,
about that.
I don't
hopefully
even remember which event.
I
Yeah.
won't go down that road. But yeah,
I would love
it's
that.
Really
You should go
difficult.
down that road. Get thrown out.
Yeah, maybe someday I will. I
We
don't
get
know.
it in
I
Things
don't
are
know.
not that bad for now. You know.
yeah. Well, yeah, that's a good point. What's like one thing? Each of you guys give me like one, or give the viewers one thing that they probably don't know about, like coaching up on the stage. Like, what's like one trick of the trade that no one probably really understands that you guys can do on the stage? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, as a trick, I guess more of a thing for me is every time you lose a round, you shouldn't, like every time you lose a big clutch to someone, immediately call a timeout. Like just straight up, even though you did, even though it's like might not be anything like horrible, but it's just like something like that. It's just such a momentum swing, and it's in the back of everyone's head for at least the next 10, 15, 20 seconds, right? But you need to have like perspective. I mean, that one round is not going to cost you the game, but if that one round costs you 3 more rounds and you lose momentum and you lose control of the economy, well, then you might lose the game.
Yeah.
So you just like take it so that like you kind of give your players a pep talk, and also the other team, their hype kind of dies down a little bit because they just won like a massive round, a massive clutch. So I guess that's sort of a thing that, compared to just taking a timeout and giving a strat that you may see, maybe something that's a bit different.
Yeah, and also it also goes the other way around. I think a lot of people don't understand or realize. Sometimes I also take a timeout if, let's say, Dupree make a clutch like last year at Blast in Copenhagen, where he shoots two guys through the smoke. That was 2 years ago. I could easily take a timeout there just to make everyone calm down, even though that we run around. Because I remember from playing myself, if you have a huge clutch, then you can't stop thinking about it in the next round, and then you probably also get a bit nervous. And
when the adrenaline starts pumping,
yeah,
even
exactly.
when you win, almost even more.
So just to get like this kind of break, and then I also sometimes just say on Team Street, let's just chill. Let's not just float around with a lot of ideas. Let's just calm down and for just a couple of seconds. Because obviously we have a plan for what we're doing next, but I think the timeouts can also be used just to calm the team down. And also, like Janko said, take the momentum out of the other team. I think that's crucial.
You were there at T-League when Guardian had that clutch.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
He said, I need a timeout, guys.
Did he really?
Yeah, because he was standing up and then he was sitting down. I was like 6 seconds because, guys, I need a timeout. I need to calm down. So we took a timeout, like just to make sure everyone's like
that was
relaxed.
a pretty sick round.
Yeah,
that was nasty. I mean, Danny, are you surprised at all at how long you guys have been able to stay the best team in the world? Are you surprised at like how long your nuke win streak has? The Infernal win streak is starting to get up there. Like, are you surprised that no one's figured out kind of a way to consistently counter you guys?
Yeah, I think it's difficult. If you ask me if when we got matches on the team, if we would have like this kind of road, I would probably say no, not in a live chance. I think that I'm not surprised in the way that I know how hard we work and how much time and effort we put into the team. Also, the team behind us work extremely hard for us to keep the momentum going, keep the motivation up, and we have a lot of good talks with the team. Can't go into too many details, obviously, but for us, I think it also helped us that 4 of the players and myself tried being the best team in the world after the E-League major in Atlanta. And then we had the whole thing with Device getting sick, and we lost that first spot to MIBR and FaZe probably during 2017. So it was difficult for us, and we really wanted it. So when we got Magic on board and we could see how good this team, the potential was, then the boys don't want to let that go away again.
What does the rest of the scene look like from the top looking down? Because you know, when you guys were on the rise last year, a lot of people were just, you know, a lot of the conversation in the community was, you know, Astralis is awesome, but they probably wouldn't be this dominant if other teams have more time with their roster or they make these roster changes that everyone was kind of assuming coming in. When you look down from that position, are you looking at it and seeing teams that like strategically can't match up with you, skill-wise can't match up with you? Is it, you know, teams who maybe are like FaZe, like bringing in and trying a new style of play, they're messing around with the fifth and everything like that? MIBR just had these roster changes. Is it simply the fact that some of these rosters just aren't ready to compete yet?
I think the scene is a bit of a mess right now. I think it's falling into the right pieces, but again, I think Liquid last year was a extremely good team, and if it wasn't for us, then they will probably also be dominating the scene last year. So I think we have good teams. There were probably some truth to it last year about teams not being playing on the A game compared to us, and people saying that yeah, we were just number one because everyone else sucked. I think there was some truth to it in the beginning.
Yeah.
But now we are 1 year after, I think.
Yeah. Well, now, there's nothing anyone could say now.
Yeah, I agree.
A little chuckle at the end.
Yeah.
What's up? What's with FaZe? What's your number one goal at this? Like, you know, you kind of said you're starting to try and put this team together, still kind of establishing how you guys want to play. What's like the number one priority as a coach coming in, trying to change the way a team operates?
Well, it's just in some sense just kind of introducing more discipline, more structure, in a sense of just having to play and work with a purpose, right? I'm always say that in interviews, you can't just come to practice and let's just play 4 maps today. Okay, what are we playing? Why are we playing these maps? What are we trying to get better at? What do we need to work on? Is it our communication? Is it rotations, reactions? Do we need more strategies?
Yeah.
Do we need to switch players around, right? So first of all, it's like just something like that as a team, realizing, getting to know the players, to know what they're like in-game, out of the game, to see what's the best way of utilizing them, making sure they're comfortable in the team. But, you know, with FaZe right now, it's also a bit deeper in a sense of the roster is kind of lacking a natural in-game leader, right? I mean, that's pretty obvious to everyone, but it's also, you know, it's not like there's 10 in-game leaders sitting right here and I can just pick one. So, you know, we just felt like there was no really viable options for us after the major. We felt that Adren was a good fit with the team and with the guys and with his style of play. So we just decided, you know, for the short term, to keep going with it, to keep working together as a team, because we felt we did good work prior to the major, and then just see how it goes. And then down the road, we'll see what happens and if we make any changes.
Yeah. Danny, you mentioned Device getting sick just at the end of a couple years ago. You also had Dupree, who had that issue at Cologne, and you had to step in to the major and play. What's that like? Was it like a oh crap moment when they were like, hey Zonic?
It was really nice beating.
Was it like dream come true getting to play on that stage?
No, it was horrible. Let's just be honest. I played terribly.
You were good. You were sick.
Nah, yeah, no.
I mean, you guys won. That's all that matters.
Yeah, we managed to beat Dignitas now North for the playoff spot. So that was really nice. Then I think we fell in 2 close games against VP in the quarterfinals. So it could actually have been really nice. But yeah, I was
never again.
It was too bad. No, never again. I hope I don't get in that position again, because I'm a guy who likes to prepare, and even though I know I suck, I would probably have loved to at least get a couple of days to play a little bit Counter-Strike. I remember I didn't even have my gear with me, so it was horrible. But yeah, and then we won the major afterwards, so maybe that
it all works out.
Worked out. Yeah.
Exactly.
Had a really tough time over there at Astralis, haven't you? Janko, do you have that little dream in the back of your head, getting to step in and play on the stage like that?
I'm just hoping Nico's flights gets cancelled or something. I'm ready. I've been grinding Face It like
if you had
every other night after practice. Listen, I've been with the guy, you know, for a long time. Like, if anyone knows how to replicate his style, it's gonna be me. Where do you think he got his deagle from? Come on, bro. You should know this, Jason. We played so many show matches together.
Yeah, we have.
Just a bit of ring rust, you know. But
yeah,
other than that, I can be back. Give me a couple of months. Let's get my mechanics in order.
Yeah, I think it'd be. I have like some weird fantasy dream of like some team.
Another
like,
one?
Yeah. Well, let's not go into those ones. of just like some team. I think it'd be so cool to just go be able to play on a stage in those matches, even if you suck. I just think that crowd, like when we play in front of the crowds in show matches, it's insane. Like even just for a show match, like you get butterflies, you get nerves.
Yeah, of course. Like, I mean, always as an ex-player, you feel like kind of, I wish I made it like this far. I wish I could.
I still got it.
Yeah, I wish
Just
I
give
could
me
do
time.
this or something like that. But, I mean, it is what it is. To be fair, like, Valence, when he was standing in for Cloud9, he did perfectly fine. Like, I
Yeah.
mean,
He was actually quite impressive.
blast or
That
two
was
events.
so
and I'm like,
ridiculous.
I'm like, Valence is destroying us. Like, I did not plan for this. What's going on?
There's nothing in your strat book
So
about that.
like, how is this like going on? Why don't they just get him full time then? Like, he's doing way better than the guy he was playing instead of. So.
Yeah, well, you can't win them all, can you? So what's next? What's the rest of the year looking like for you guys? Busy year. You guys excited for what's going on in the circuit? You guys got a lot of like tournaments and everything that you're all. You guys are probably gonna be taking some off, I would imagine.
Yeah, it's not going to be that hectic. I think we have. Is it Miami coming up next?
Yeah.
Blast, and then
Pro League is there.
Pro League and Madrid, I think.
Yeah. Are you doing Sydney?
No.
You probably can't. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well,
Nope.
it's out-
it's
well,
out there.
On the
Yeah.
other side of things,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Moving
we
along
have,
swiftly.
a bit
No.
more tournaments. We're doing
Nope.
Shanghai as well, and then right after Miami, it's our our Pro League group. So it's going to be 3 weeks in a row of just traveling. But for us, it's good. It's what we need. Especially Star Series, it's going to be sick because it's Swiss best of 3. So
Yeah.
a lot of games to be played, a lot of maps, and that's what we need right now to kind of see where we stand. You know, what are some more things we need to work on? How does our map pool look like with all the maps that we want to play, and just to see a bit more how does the team mesh together and how things work out.
Here's something we can talk about without getting anyone into trouble, hopefully. With ENCE at the major, that run that they had, when you guys are coaches, how much of that do you think is like teams didn't necessarily expect them to be that good and didn't do any like? Is there any truth to the fact that like teams probably weren't researching ENCE? They probably weren't looking at those demos.
I think I don't think it's that. If people have been doing that, then, I mean, shame on them. Like,
Yeah.
you need
Yeah.
to prepare whoever your opponent is. That's your next opponent. Like, what are you going to do? Lose to them? Like, you need to do your homework. So I think I think this applies to all tier 1 teams and players. You will always prefer to play someone right?
Yeah.
Like, I remember, I think even talking to Stewie, he was like, I would rather play FaZe or Navi than ENCE, because they're like this bit of
Yeah.
an X factor that you're not used to the individuals at all. Like, their style is maybe a little bit unique, and players sometimes mind game themselves and kind of overthink those situations instead of just playing the game as it goes, and that's it. So I think especially at the major, because it's the tournament with the most pressure and the most importance, the most significance, I think that's where that's why you have these upsets. Playing teams like Avantgarde or playing some teams that just are a bit different and have a
Yeah.
bit of a different style, that can be like more punishing than maybe some of the other tournaments.
What was it like for you guys going up against them in the grand finals? Was that just kind of crazy seeing that run, and then obviously you do your research as Yanko just said, but was it kind of like
Yeah.
a holy hell? We have to play these guys now.
No, I think obviously I was a bit nervous because we like to know our opponents, and it doesn't matter who we're playing against. I remember preparing 4 maps against Vici at one event that we were playing.
Yeah.
So for me, it doesn't matter. I tend to get a bit nervous on the players' behalf if they are underestimating them. I know that for a fact that they were not underestimating ENCE because they went to the final for a reason, and it's a major final. But usually when we play teams that we are supposed to win against, I prepare just as much as anyone else.
Yeah.
Because they are there for a reason, and the worst thing you can get is complacent. So
Are you guys expecting ENCE to be at a pretty similar level here in Sao Paulo? Like, do you expect them to be able to carry on that magic they had at the major? Do you think there's going to maybe be a little bit of a drop off?
Well, I think the format benefits them in a sense that it's a best of 1, right? So your map pool isn't as exposed as it would be in series, but I'm not so sure. I mean, the truth is they weren't really around when it comes to Tier 1 Counter-Strike, I don't know, since like Star Series and that didn't have any of the Tier 1 teams in September.
Yeah.
Or they played Chicago maybe. I can't recall, but they haven't had like similar successes in the recent history. So if in the near future they'll have, that's gonna tell you
Yeah.
if they're like legit to stay here, or it was just like this one great run. It was a great run.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. But with everyone, you have to replicate that to really be.
Now you got to learn how to keep it day in, day out.
Yeah.
Is that a pretty hard thing to get? That always strikes me as like one of those intangible things that's really hard to like teach teams and players. Like your ability to say like mentally focused enough to be able to compete with tier 1 teams consistently.
I think it's. I'm not so sure if it's a psychological thing. I think it's more of a fact. Okay, now they made it to the grand finals. People will pay more attention to them. They will look at them a bit more closely, and especially when you're really good on a couple of maps, but then people like look at it in depth, and you have to work on your weaker maps because people will pick them against you in best of 3, so you can't like change things on your good maps as much. I think that's when teams start to struggle. They get studied more, and they're not used to it, right? They're always used to being the underdog, that no one's looking at them that much, and they're studying the favorite and like preparing hard, and that's when they have the upper hand. So that's going to be the next challenge for them. Now that people are looking at them closely, they're still going to be able to play on a high level, and especially against these tier 1 teams.
And that's one thing. And then they start to crumble within the team, because then they expect them to do maybe not similar, but at least better than what they were doing before the major. So it will become this like spiral. Yeah, exactly. So
what's is there another team like ENCE like waiting out there? I saw like Dupree before the major saying don't be sleeping on Avangard and everything like that. And do you guys have like some teams in that lower tier, or that next tier down, I guess you'd say, that you think are going to make a jump up this year? Either of you? You could say no.
I think Complexity is pretty good. I mean, from playing them at the major and just seeing some of their results, and I mean, even they had a super difficult run at the major with the opponents that they were getting. So I think they were playing some solid CS, and especially when it comes to tournament play, that's going to show itself a bit more. So I think they're a team that maybe even with a couple of upgrades of the roster potentially can be the next team kind of that breaks through, whether it's in NA or just in general.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of good upcoming teams who are playing really well. Avangard was playing really well. We were not sleeping on them during that online match. They were playing actually absolutely fine. Renegades played well at the major. I think Vitality is also a team that's capable of upsetting teams and playing really well as well. So I think we have a lot of good teams coming up. Excited about the new Mouse Sports lineup. So
oh yeah, that is super interesting. What is it about Kerrigan that makes him so good at like having success with new lineups that just come together?
Yeah, but that is what he's really good at. I think he's really good at micromanaging his players and having this creative freestyle where people are open to take duels and play their own game, but he still manages to have a certain amount of structure. I personally like more structure, and that was why our paths split back then. But he's really good as long as he has respect from his players and they believe in his game plan. He's still one of the best in-game leaders, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's crazy the amount of success he's able to have with those new rosters. That's pretty cool. What's that for?
It's just a little, how do you say it, lapse in phrase or whatever. Like
oh yeah, I did almost butcher that, didn't I?
Yeah.
It's skirting on a little bit of an awkwardness.
Moving swiftly on.
Yeah, let's do that. I think I just got word Frankie's gonna hop in just a moment. She'll probably have some cool new questions for you.
Hope so.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Are you guys excited for this crowd in Sao Paulo at all? Every time we play in Brazil, is there anything new with a crowd like this that you guys talk to your players and teams and just say, we know this is going to be a wild experience. We know this crowd is going to be very loud.
I think just, even if you're obviously it's MIBR's home turf, and I mean, we're playing them on Friday, not on Saturday, and even if the crowd is against you, I think for players, they just enjoy the atmosphere, right? Like, it's really that it becomes so intense. You can feel like how much the crowd is into it. And I think it brings out the best in players. Like that level of intensity, of focus, like, some of the best performances I've seen have been, on the stage in front of the crowd. Like, for example,
Zonic in Cologne 26.
or Stewie playing in Istanbul against Astralis on the last map on Inferno. Like, he was playing out of his mind, and it was mostly because he was like, I never seen him be in the zone that much, and that was because of the crowd and the moment. Obviously, playing a great opponent, intense series, third map, grand final. So yeah, I think doesn't matter where you are or whether the crowd is on your side or not. It's always like awesome to play when it's loud and the crowd is passionate.
Hey, Frankie.
Hello. I was hoping you wouldn't notice me. I was just going to sit here and really awkwardly just be like, ignore me. I
Nice
don't
try.
exist.
Yeah, I ruined that one, didn't I? I've been good at that today.
How have you found Moses?
That's a dangerous question.
I don't know where should I begin. I don't think we have that much time.
we might not, unfortunately, because
Fortunately.
in more fortunate news, we do have NIP coming up in about 5 minutes.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you guys only have 5 minutes left. Anything you want to get out there? Any smack talk? Anything Dr. Disrespect taught you? You want to practice?
So yeah, I wasn't fond of the way that he taught the players to smack talk. I thought it was a different thing I sent my players to, but yeah, he apparently he did a good job.
Are we going to see any of it this week in Brazil?
I don't know if we're too afraid to do that, especially against the MIBR team. Because
Not to MIBR, maybe FaZe.
Have you smack talked to each other yet? Because I've been eating my lunch, so I haven't been able to.
Oh yeah, you
keep
missed
up
out.
with
You're gonna
what's
see
going
all
on.
the Twitch clips. It
Yeah.
was just bashing all around.
Yeah.
Had
I love a bash.
This was a nice laid back conversation compared to the MIBR situation that we had going on.
I don't know why do you have to bash them all the time?
Don't even try that. Don't even try it. Absolute rat. How was lunch?
Lunch.
What'd you have?
You know what? One of my favorite things about Brazil so far is they give good buffet here in Brazil. Because I don't eat meat, I was quite nervous. But no, they've got buffets everywhere. Everywhere you go in Brazil, there's a buffet, and it's always really good.
You
Just
did.
a lot of food everywhere all the time.
Oh, so good.
It's
Oh my
basically
goodness.
it.
That's why I'm wearing a loose top today. Because I spent 45 minutes eating churros at the buffet.
Nice.
It's really good. Would recommend.
Did you guys do Brazilian barbecue last night?
no, we got advised by a Brazilian team that we practiced against to try something out, and I think the fogo de chao is better, the Brazilian barbecue. So yeah, we're gonna go there next. Yeah, we're gonna eat a lot of meat, so all good.
Yeah, that's always fun. It's a good time.
Yanko, do you enjoy eating a lot of meat?
Of course, all the time. That's our cuisine: meat and potatoes. Poor people's food.
Jesus Christ.
That's how it is, Jason. What's so funny about it? You were in
Nothing.
Serbia. You love the food.
The food was absolutely amazing in Serbia when I went there. I'm ready to go back. That food it's unreal.
What is the #1 Serbian food? Quickly before NIP join us.
Meat.
Sarma.
Sarma. And what is sarma?
It's cabbage rolls, and inside it's minced meat and some of the other stuff.
Is there a vegetarian version I can try?
Yes, just the cabbage.
Just the cabbage. So I could have sarma soup, but without the meat.
No, there's one thing that's instead of minced meat, there's something else, but I don't know how the vegetable is called in English.
Okay.
Sorry, bad Englando. Pasha London School, I'll sign up.
I love this. One thing I have found since doing more CS is that some of the players can speak a lot better English than they make out. Actually, I think that goes across all esports sometimes. Like, I think that Zeus from Navi, I think he's actually really good at speaking English. He just doesn't want to talk to me.
I don't think it has anything to do with you. I just don't think he likes to talk to anyone.
Edward, man. Edward's been sandbagging us for years. That's all I'm saying. He started giving interviews like in the last 6 months, and I'm just like, he's known everything we've said. Everything.
He's just piling up ammunition.
You know he's got a list
for
somewhere.
D-Day.
Jesus.
I'm just, Forrest is juggling a bottle over there. Are you ready, boys? Do you want to come and join us?
Be ready.
Yeah. Come.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to say goodbye. I think we're going to make this
Goodbye, Jason.
very seamless. Yeah. So, thanks, guys.
Take care.
Bye,
Thank you.
Jason.
Yeah.
Bye, Frankie.
Bye.
Yeah,
Bye,
come on
Danny.
in.
Zonic, well, I'm going to
Pleasure.
see you on the sofa very shortly, actually, because I believe Astralis is coming up after NIP.
I think you
Don't
can...
go-